WTIM.
You're listening to WTIM, your information station, and our morning show. It's brought to you by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville. I'm your host, Grayson Bauman, and sitting across from me this morning, Angela Anselm, owner of Anselm Integrative Wellness. Good morning to you, Angela. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I am doing well, and I'm glad to have you on today at such a what I've come to find out, a pertinent time. And this is a very exciting time for you. And so I am excited to share with our listeners as well. We're just getting our start, and tonight is the start of Anselm Integrative Wellness. You've got an open house that you're hosting. I'd love to hear more about the open house, and then we'll get right on into things past that.
The open house is from 6 to 8 at 602 East Park. It's the previous, we named the building That Place on Park because we wanted to name the building and we couldn't figure out a name. And I kept telling people, that place on Park where Design with Detail used to be. So we named the place, That Place on Park, and it's at 602 East Park Street. And we're having refreshments. There'll be prizes. It's a really relaxed, hopefully fun membership. You can experience. You can come and talk about memberships or any questions you have. I think it'll be a fun night.
For you, this is kind of your first introduction then to the community as the new owner of Anselm Integrative Wellness. How exciting is that for you?
It's something I've always wanted to do. My daughter owns a salon that's in the same building, and it's for probably the last 10 or 11 years we've been going to put it together, and life kept happening, and then finally it's not being postponed. It's going to happen.
And that to me is just all the more reason that, it was the perfect timing for it. Sometimes in life, it just so much gets thrown at you and you're wondering why, and you just can't figure it out. And then just all of a sudden there's that perfect window. And it seems as if that window is here. 602 East Park Street, That Place on Park, from 6 to 8 p.m. We've got our open house serving refreshments.
Yep. From Legendary. We're going to have food and beverages.
Oh my goodness. Awesome. So from 6 to 8 p.m. tonight, that is tonight at 602 East Park Street, Integrative Wellness. Let's talk a little bit about it. I got a brief explanation of it, and I can't wait to actually dive into it more. What is integrative wellness?
Integrative wellness is combining conventional medicine with more natural approaches, focusing on your immune system, your health. My oldest daughter, Ashley, died of brain cancer a few years ago, and she had high functioning autism, so she lived with us. And when she was diagnosed, she became my, kind of focus responsibility. And through that time, we did conventional medicine, but being a mom, I dove into everything there was. And I'd always been interested in natural approaches, but that's when I really dived. And I saw how much a difference it'd make doing the supplementation of the natural approaches. And they had given her a little over 2 years to live, and she lived 5. And her oncologist even told us that when I'd go in his office, he'd look at me like I had 2 heads, and then he'd see how well she was doing. And her last visit with him, he let me know that he was implementing a lot of things that I did with her, into his practice. And then it became kind of a desire of mine. I've born and raised in Taylorville, out on a farm south of town. And I've just always wanted to bring that back because, I don't think unless you really have something like that happen to your life, you don't dive as deep. And I also am a nurse practitioner, so I have that medical knowledge to know, this is something that makes sense pathologically that it might work, whether it's somebody just trying to get your money.
And I appreciate you sharing that personal story. And that is a very touching story. Brain cancer is about as bad as it can get in terms of a cancer diagnosis. When you give somebody 2 years to live and you get them to 5, you get that 3 extra years with that person, especially your daughter. All of a sudden you see it work. And now you are trying to bring the help that you could bring to your daughter to the community. And I think that is a very, very cool piece to it. And you have that background as well. I love that. In terms of integrative wellness and maybe some of the supplementation, as you mentioned, what might that look like depending on maybe a varying disease or an underlying condition?
Basically, all chronic diseases, or the majority of them, have a metabolic component. So our lifestyles have really contributed to the problems we have now. We're seeing chronic disease younger and younger. Like used to, for instance, diabetes, the only thing you saw in childhood was insulin dependent diabetes, like type 1, and that's a malfunction of the pancreas, where type 2 diabetes is caused by, majority of the time, our lifestyle choices. So the foods we eat, the toxins in our exposure that we're exposed to, our gut health, our sedentary lifestyles. We sit on a computer, we don't get out and play and do the things. All of those things, can lead to health. And, we just need taught how to make those changes so it fits into what I can afford, what I'm able to do. And then there are different supplements and herbs and things like that that you can add as a component in the meantime until you get your body healthy enough to do it on its own. My goal is that people would be able to supplement, maybe if necessary, which most of us need to, but then eventually, heal their body and be able to get off of a lot of prescription meds and stuff.
I personally love that. I think the overprescribing of drugs and medications has gotten rampant. It's gotten to a point where you're just having a pill pushed on you, it feels a lot of times. And the word wellness, I think, perfectly encapsulates everything. It's not just about getting you the supplements, getting you those things, but it's also changing your lifestyle choices, making healthier habits, and bringing it all together. And so I think the word wellness in particular here was the perfect word for it. And thank you for explaining that a little bit more for me here as well. If I'm a community member and I go, you know what, I need this, how, one, can I get involved in, and two, would I be able to use a traditional insurance to be able to help get this, to myself? Is that possible?
I'm going to be a cash only business. I'm trying to make it very, very reasonable, very economical. The reason I'm doing that, number one, insurance doesn't pay for a lot of a conventional or alternative integrative medicine choices, which is very sad. But it is the way it is. Number two, if you've ever had any experience in the, current hospital medical system, it's very frustrating. You have to get approval for this, approval for that. There's so much overhead and stuff that makes passed on to the consumer. So being a cash only business, I don't have to deal with any of that, and I can keep my prices reasonable. I'm going to have 3 levels of membership. The diamond one is one where you can call or text me about any time of the day or night. I am your person. It's almost like having a family member that's in the medical field that you'll be able to contact. The next level is a gold membership. And just for example, for a year of that, it's $250 for an individual, up to $400 for a family. That includes 2 very deep physical assessments a year. Plus, if you come and see me in a month, it's $50 no matter how many times you see me that month. So for example, if your child has an ear infection or something and it needs checked up on, I don't charge you when you come back to have that ear looked at and things. My goal is if we don't need antibiotics today, but we might a few days from now, I don't want you to have to pay a copay twice to have just, for a few seconds for me to look at that ear and say, it's resolved or now we need an antibiotic.
I respect the heck out of that.
Yeah.
And you mentioned diamond and gold. Would the next tier of membership be silver?
Yes, it is. And that one's for people that aren't sure what they want to do. They want to keep their primary care physician, or they just have a child they want seen. They're not ready to yet, or they just kind of want to dip their toes in it and fill it out before coming committed to it. It's kind of the same except for the gold level. I'll be giving discounts on any supplements or herbs or services I add, whereas the silver, none of those discounts apply.
Gotcha.
But both the gold and silver, you can't call me, but you can text and email me with those two with questions and
Gotcha.
stuff.
Gotcha. Yeah, that it really feels like you almost have your own personal life coach in a way, and a wellness coach.
And that's exactly, everybody probably knows since I'm from here, but I'm 64 years old and I should be retiring, but instead I love to teach. So I give free classes on multiple things. I'm open to giving them on other things. We've had hormone classes. We've had healthy lifestyle classes. We've had, there's a big what I want to say, discussion about vaccines right now, especially since Robert Kennedy Jr. got put in his position at HSHS. So I consider myself, I'd say, vaccine neutral. I think it's up to the individual parent or person to make that decision. But I feel like in today's current medical system, doctors and providers, nurse practitioners or PA don't have time to sit down and discuss, like all the ingredients, all the side effects, everything, your history should play a part of it and everything else. So I consider my class like a way for you to be able to have really truly have informed consent and make a decision.
And on a personal basis, not just it's a blanket statement. This is for everyone, or this works for everyone.
Right.
It's you.
Right. And you don't have to be one of my patients to come to the classes. They're free. There's no charge. I've really had I started doing that before it opened up, but it's just so much that people aren't aware of because the information, computer systems and social media have changed the world in such a way it's really hard to know what's right, what's not, because I call it Dr. Google. Dr. Google something and you can find both answers, both sides of the thing. So how do you know what to choose? Plus, it's not a one size fits all package. Everybody should be treated personally, and our decisions should be respected no matter which side we're on.
This sounds to me like the right approach to wellness. And we are talking with Angela Anselm, and she is now the owner of Anselm Integrative Wellness. Come on out to the open house this evening, located at 602 East Park Street, that place on Park, from 6 to 8 p.m., and learn more about everything we are discussing here this morning. We're going to come back around with Angela, and we're going to talk more about her newest business and this venture to bring the community the wellness and the health and the lifestyle choices that they might just need. You're listening to WTIM, your information station.
WTIM. WTIM.
And we're back on the WTIM morning show here on your information station. We're brought to you by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville. I'm your host, Grayson Bauman. Joining us in this segment, Angela Anselm, and she is the owner of Anselm Integrative Wellness with an open house this evening at 602 East Park Street from 6 to 8 p.m. Refreshments and more provided by Legendary as well. We have been talking about what is integrative wellness. What can we do to improve our lifestyle and our health and our wellness as a whole, and then the free classes too. I'd love to talk about that some more as well. But what can folks expect, Angela, if I come to you and I say this I think is going wrong with me? I don't think this is right with me. What's that first step when I come to you and say something like that look like?
Okay, first step would be when you come in that door, expect to spend an hour or two with me. I'm only going to take appointments. One thing that I've noticed in my job is because in the past, it's because of insurance things and stuff, it's in and out. We don't have time to sit. Why I want to sit down with you, talk about your family background, talk about the symptoms you're having, the house you live in because of the toxins, what kind of chronic diseases you have. Basically, by healing your gut, a lot of things, that's kind of the first layer. You kind of peel it like an onion. And the first layer is healing your gut. We eat the fast food. We eat saturated fats because they told us to, which are omega-6s, and we really need more omega-3s. So all the things they told us not to eat, like the butter and the lard and the tallow, those are actually the things we should be eating. It's simple changes like that. And my motto is progress, not perfection. I feel like too many times we want to be perfect at these healthy changes. And then when we can't be, we give it up. So instead, it's just each day, try to do a little better than the next day. But after we really dig into that kind of stuff, then I'm actually going to check out what your lifestyle's like now, because maybe you're a mom of 4 or 5 kids and you work and everything else. We got to find something that you'll be able to make these changes without having stress with it, or you're going to quit. That's just what's going to happen. And then do we need blood work? We'll decide that. Now, I am not personally going to draw blood right at this point at the clinic, but I can order the labs for you and send them wherever you need to. I have a lot of resources if you don't have insurance that we can, figure out where you need to go, or you can use your insurance anywhere you want to go. Once we get the whole package of looking at all that, I'll come up with a tailored plan for you that includes your diet, lifestyle. It's not the same size fits all depending on what your medical history is, but we'll go look at that. We'll look at the medicines you're on, because when you start making these changes, a lot of these medications that you're on prescription wise won't be needed anymore. I'll recommend supplements and herbs if they're needed for a while, but my goal is that eventually people get to be so healthy that even most supplements and herbs aren't necessary.
Angela, I have completely lost track of time. We are out of time today. No, that is on me. Angela is the owner of Anselm Integrative Wellness. Please come out to the open house at 602 East Park Street, that place on Park, from 6 to 8 p.m. tonight. Learn more about what we have discussed here today in depth, and I think you might just want to. You're listening to WTIM, your information station.